Brandon's going to talk about training people and dogs, or dogs and people. I don't know in what order he's going to choose to do it.
It's interchangeable.
Here we go.
Oh, good almost afternoon, everyone. Thank you guys for coming. I know that it's been a long couple days. You guys can all hear me in the back and all that? All right, great. I'm going to echo most of what these guys have said all weekend long. I'm going to make some proposals for understanding the work and try to make people understand that it's simpler to apply it than it is to understand it. All right? So first, understand that everyone right now is looking for association. They're looking for a tribe, people to be with that they understand and can work with moving forward. Your people are the sane, moral, and competent. If they are not all those things, they are not your people. Now, you can steward them into being your people, raise them into peerage, but right now they are dependent on you or they are extracting from you. If you have the opportunity to do something right, you should do it, whether you get approval for it or not. That will create opportunities for you. It has for me. I don't go around seeking friends. I go around doing what's right, and people come to me and say, hey, you did what's right. We should work together. And that's a strategy that everyone here can use. And
is that why you're a dick and people
yes,
love you anyway?
Correct. That's what I'm trying to explain to people.
And you're a dick.
You don't have to be nice, right? Be kind to people in person. But where you have the opportunity to make a wrong right, make the wrong right. It doesn't matter who you make upset. Our goal is to produce duty, heroism, and excellence to defend innocence, grace, and beauty. That's what we do here. I genuinely solve problems for people. So what I've come across over the last 3 years is how many people actually don't want their problems solved. They like to talk about their problems. Their drama gives them a reason to be around others and something to talk about. I'm under the impression that if you don't have something of value add, meaning it changes someone's perception so that they change their behavior, because people say humans don't adapt, but we adapt faster than anything else that exists. So if you believe that, you're running counter to what we actually do. Some of these people have said one thing to me and have changed my mind, and that has changed my actions and the way that I move through the world. So you can change people's minds. Behavior is hard to change if you can't change someone's frame, because they won't change how they act. But it's harder to change what a dog does than it is what people do, unless they have an incentive to keep acting the way that they're acting, which we're going to work to pull the rug out from under everybody who's stealing from you. When you explain where we are in the world to people, I would tell you to use the frame of World War Part 3. This is a continuation of what's been going on the whole time we've been here, and it started before we were alive, right? The way we be responsible is to hold the people who have done what's wrong accountable. That's what responsibility is. That's what we're responsible to do right now. Constraining those able to lawful, imitable behavior is an immense shortcut. People imitate other people. This is why doing what's right is important. The third way is the only way. The third way is the law. All these conversations about communism and capitalism, and socialism, these are all ideologies that give you heuristics for making decisions at differing levels of scale that are not commensurate with one another. They're commensurate with a particular set of intuitions. Socialists are universalists, mostly, right? Fascists are collectivists, mostly. Libertarians are individualists, mostly. That's their biases. It doesn't mean they're right. Kurt went over a bunch of things that he calls socialist, right? It's a way to care for people and reduce the costs. If you're against that, you're just not moral. We need to train people, not educate them. Currently, everyone's uninformed, but I'll have you know they're disinformed, misinformed, and malinformed as well. So we have a steep hill to climb if you think you're going to do it through talking to them or writing stuff down. You got to be up in their face. We don't caution people that you can't trade belonging for belongings. We're too materialistic. The things that matter here are you and your people. Everyone who moves through this world and has any sense of wisdom at all tells you that they wish they spent more time with their family when they're in a pinch, not they wish they had a bigger boat or a bigger house or whatever it is people chase these days. When you train people, you use games, not rote, not lectures, not that, games. Life is a test. You don't test people to prepare them for life. You train them to prepare them for life, and then afford life to test them. And then you protect them against devastating consequences. We use the law. We say in dogs, don't blame them, train them. A way to dispel myths. There is no magic, mystery, or fantasy in this realm of existence where we are working with one another. Zero. And if anyone's positing any, they are being deceitful. Not only that, but deceit hides in magic, mystery, and fantasy. So they can use it as cover. This is why we push people towards operationalizing what it is they're doing, so they can explain it in a causal chain, so that you can move from one step to the next without ambiguating or leading people down the wrong path. Everyone is steeped in an information stream that is too deep and too fast for them, and they are drowning. It's worse with kids. We're affording them access to people who are experts at stealing their attention, and they have no means to moderate their attention. It's your job as a parent to teach them to moderate their attention, and we're not doing it. We're affording applications to moderate their attention, and they demolish attention. They shrink attention spans. They create an expectation for feedback that is outrageous, because people can put outrageous things on a screen. Outrageous things don't happen when you're face-to-face with people unless there's a catastrophe. You can't teach IQ. It's something you got to breed in. You can't make a pug a German Shepherd. It's not a thing. And if you breed them together, you don't get a pug or a shepherd. You get something else. And it doesn't function like a pug or a shepherd. It functions somewhere in between. And it doesn't correct to the mean of a pug or a shepherd. So you get a temperament that's more variable in its expression. The only variability in expression we should be pushing for is for men to risk, so that their temperamental variance widens. Otherwise, we should look to keep women in the normal distribution of the bell curve so that they are predictable. And that predictability is they will want and care for children. These are intuitions. The production of aristocracy, which is something Noah went over a bit. The way to do it is imitation. Stand up, be a noble. Stand up for the people around you, be a noble. A danger. No behavior expressed in the commons gets expressed less after people have seen it. It always gets expressed more, unless you crush that behavior with the law. And we should be looking for those behaviors that are unacceptable to crush with the law, meaning you don't get away with that here, ever. And if you try to get away with it, we remove you permanently. Because that's the only way to change the pressure on people, to change their behavior in a serious way. All this exposure to degeneracy over screens leaks into people's psyche. It can't not. Excuse me. Proximity. You can't run this time around. There's nowhere to go. We were all talking here last night. We've exhausted cooperation, and Luke pointed out that we are exhausting currently avoidance, separation. What comes next is obvious. Proximity is something that people blame for a lot of problems. Freud laid all of the weight of your problems on your family, and really it's just the proximity of your family that causes those problems. The people around you cause you your problems because they are the people around you. There's nothing you can do to escape that. You have to be able to cooperate with those people. If you can't, I wouldn't even consider you human. We teach the science of cooperation. It's a science. If you don't understand it, you're not acting in the adult world with the rest of us. You're still a child or a dependent. We have to create these norms in order to remove the impetus for following authority that can wield force against us should we decline to follow orders. I'll make a bit about subjects and objects. Most of our people in America, they're not fit for good rule, which means they're not even fit for subjugation. You were subjects of a king. Right now, we treat people like objects. We trade one another. We have sex apps. They're not marriage apps. We traded a mating market for a dating market, and we wonder why the sexes don't get along anymore. There's nothing to keep them together. We can fix these problems, but you have to look at the place all the way from the bottom and stop trying to pretend that anyone who presents as an exception should remain that way. We have to condition people into normalcy. Norms are the price you pay for civilization. Everything emerges from that normalcy because it produces predictive capacity. All right, activism. These are pretty short points, but they should be at the bottom. My approach to activism is similar to Noah's approach that he put up here yesterday. It's a hierarchical approach, meaning you act locally all the time, and then you scale up to the level of your competence, and you mentor people to do the same. At the local levels, you should be running in groups. You should take every position that's volunteer, which is many. There are many volunteer positions in local governments. There's many more political ones. We can help you organize campaigns to run those. You want to focus on family and homesteads. That way you can use the family to fight the war against the family. We can make it a war for the family if we root down and we defend and teach our families to go on offense. We have secured for everyone the moral high ground. There isn't a logical case against what we're doing. And any other case that people are trying to make are unethical or immoral or downright criminal. We're not asking for anything other than normalcy, predictive capacity, and the ability to steward our own people forward in a persistent fashion. And that's it. Anyone denying you that pathway is your enemy. We have entire swaths of our institutions and our systems that look at people as though they're agents to extract from. They're abusing our people. So it's our duty, a moral obligation to turn this around. I'm not here because it's super fun for me, though you guys are my favorite people, so. by a lot. It's not close. So, I touched on a lot of stuff. Do you guys have any questions for me? Yeah.
So I've always had this idea for like homestead communities and stuff, but as I've discussed with other people, making them too big or too, common, would attract too much attention because building from the bottom up is inefficient. What would you say the balancing factor would be in reducing attention to those communities while at the same time creating them in a way for self-sufficiency?
Use the church.
Use the church?
Use the church, meaning put pressure on your church to take children from the public schools. That way you're putting the two institutions at the bottom of the care end of the spectrum. You're putting them against each other in a competition to see who does a better job. And the churches will end up doing a better job. So they'll outcompete the schools.
Gotcha.
Can you give us an example of a local issue that you're currently engaged in and what that engagement looks like?
Sure. I work with a local nonprofit called Citizens for Responsible Education. Their first issue was, now you have me thinking back in the past. Their first issue was, I believe it was like social emotional learning and something of that sort. We ran a forum. They came and protested. We got some, We got some press for it. When we put that event on, the mayor of the town took down some of our adverts. They were in the city town hall and in the public library. So we sued him because of First Amendment violation. We won 10. Yep, thank you. I know. They settled off. This is why I know that our pursuing lawfare, what's going to happen is they're going to settle a lot. They're going to settle a lot with us because they don't want to go through discovery and they don't want to be pushed into court, especially if you don't have the moral high ground. Because our courts still maintain some morality. And where they don't, meaning where there's an activist judge, you can appeal the decision. So the cities and towns
Our
and
people on juries are surprisingly good
yes,
at the distinction between moral
absolutely.
and immoral decisions.
There are also a lot of what I would call strong arm lawful tactics that can be used in this country, like sit-ins to turn over boards. You can show up with a jury to prosecute people, etc., and so on. We have all sorts of legal precedents from the past that we can, make active again. So there's no reason you shouldn't be able to usurp a position in your town by taking 12 guys with you and have one guy talk to the person in the position, demonstrate your competence, and turn over the position, right? Or we're bringing you to court otherwise. Once we get a few settlements, right, and we have some sort of war chest to go to war with, then you can tell people that we're not going to settle with you. You bring them to court, and say, we're not going to settle. They go, we want to settle. No, thank you. The court case will produce the settlement. The courts produce settlement, right? Only conflicts come to resolution. All this conflict avoidance, you are in a conflict. You're avoiding it. That just grows the debt. It just grows the debt of it, meaning it'll be worse to adjudicate it in the future than it is now. You should teach your kids that too. And all your relationships, if there's a problem, address the problem where it is, lest it's incredibly inappropriate, and then do it as soon as you can. Anyone else?
How do I be as manly as you?
I think that's something that you have to breed into. It must be the French part. Look, if you stand up for what's right, we will stand in front of you.
Absolutely.
As the institution. We'll counsel your lawyers and so on and so forth. If you're doing the right thing, we are here to stand in front of you. That's stand up, and we will stand with you. That's our message.
Yep.
And if you're not sure what the right thing is, ask us.
I can also tell you to do things. That is no problem. If you have a problem you can't solve on your own, right? That's causing you any sort of heartache or stress, come talk to one of us. All these people at the Institute are capable of walking you through a problem, and they're the only people that'll tell you, I'm not capable of that. If you ask and they're not, they'll say, no, I can't do that. I don't know how, I don't have the capacity, I don't have the competency. We're very good at measuring what we can produce in outcomes. Nobody else?
You look at me like like I should come up with another one?
Right.
I did pretty good getting laughed with that one.
You did.
Well, actually, you did.
Brad, you said something about, it was a quick line about we need to teach our men to take more risk, I think you said.
Yes,
Can you unpack that a little bit?
sure, absolutely. By taking the position with the Institute that we have, I hope to afford people the opportunity to risk, meaning if someone is going to stand with you and you have a fight that you need help with, maybe you'll stand up and pick that fight. And it's a risk. It absolutely is a risk. But with every risk that people take, there are opportunities. I mean, the other side, they exploit chaos for the same reason. We can exploit it better than them. When they make chaos out of something, we can turn it into order, not just deeper chaos.
Also, can you bring up the way we work is we win either way.
Correct.
We win if they're wrong and you don't, and we win if we win on behalf of you.
That's right. All of our positions are unassailable. They're just moral and ethical and lawful. And all other positions are not those things. And you have the ability and the tools now, and it's due to the work of these men here. All the tools exist from the bottom of the stack all the way up to the top, from competence to policy creation. So we have all the weapons we need to win this war. Well, maybe not all the ammunition. But
Millions of young men want to take risks, but they see no path to a reward for that risk. And without incentive, they won't act. We're telling them there is a path
that's right.
to a reward, not just at a societal level, but individually as well.
That's right. And as soon as you act, you demonstrate your competence. Meaning, as soon as you're in a fight, I know what your fighting ability is, right? And then I can slot you into a hierarchy with the rest of our guys. This gets easier as we move on, right? The first couple people is the hardest, and then it starts to snowball. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.